I personally like Hindi medium because it follows a territory which is neither very aggressively mainstream nor very aggressively offbeat, and it has got an audience within India and elsewhere, and it talks about a very important social issue. In my personal opinion, that is the kind of cinema which we should be making, a cinema which reaches its audience, a cinema which is meaningful but not boring. No.
Okay. The biggest challenge that faces anybody who lands up in Mumbai and wants to be a filmmaker is to make your first feature film. When you make your first film, you are a storyteller, but you're also an entrepreneur. And you have to go into a meeting and sell your script and sell yourself. Because if your script is good, they'll say, okay, we'll buy your script, we'll give you the money, but you won't direct it. So you're going to have to tell them and convince them that no, I'm the best person to direct this film. Sometimes that means you'll have to hustle into a meeting with actors and try to convince the actor to do your film. If an actor wants to work with you, any producer will work with you. My second film didn't do very well, but it's an important aspect of life. How do you face failure? How do you overcome failure? So I got my first break relatively early in life. Fortunately, when I got to write Ashoka, I was still 25, 26. But the film didn't do well. It didn't do anything for my career. I had a history of writing comedy, which was just something which was good for me, but also to be able to understand the market. Most first-time directors are expected to make a small budget film. If the film does not do well, at least the company can write it off as a loss. There's a term called the log line. How do you take the entire thrust of your script and are able to sort of narrate it in one sentence? When you'll say your first pitch is when the producer is going to turn around and say, okay, I find this interesting, tell me more. My pitch is a promise that my 120 pages are good. And even if your 120 pages are not spectacular, I can take it back and make it better. And after 2 years of going around from different producers' offices, I got one call. And I realized that it's too risky for me to walk into an office and narrate the script. What if I forget the scenes? What if I don't narrate the humor? Because I didn't consider myself a good enough performer. And I didn't want to take that entire pressure because I knew, in your head you're going last shot, last shot. This is the difference between becoming a filmmaker and not being a filmmaker. Called in favors from two of my friends who were sort of stage actors. And through that night, I made them sort of act out the film on audio, slapped a background score and special effects, and they heard the CD. And 20 minutes into hearing the CD, they said, we'll make it. We sort of bastardized the role of the director on what it means to be. One would assume that it's about executing the shot. You visualize the shot, you tell your actors you want them to do this, you tell your DOP to do this. Unfortunately, you'll realize on the floor that you have the least amount of time for that. Most of the time, you're firefighting. You'll say, I want this shot, and realize half the things that you want for that shot are not going to come. At that time, we used to shoot on film. Before we started the film, we had to commit a shooting ratio. My shooting ratio was 5:1. And I remember every day the production person coming and whispering into my ear, so many cans have gone. And you were constantly evaluating, can I do a rehearsal? So much about directing becomes about temperament rather than talent. And you shouldn't have to consider these things, but unfortunately that's the way it works here. So there are things like music. Which are the songs that are going to come out? Are these songs going to help promote my film? All of these are things that you will have to have an understanding about.
So all the creative decisions, which means you must have taken in pre-production or in post-production?
We took a lot of creative decisions in pre-production, and then we had to change most of them during production. A certain scene has to be shot in a church. They would give me a banquet hall. I'll give you an example. There's a scene in which Mallika Sherawat, she's getting married. So she has a wedding dress. So there was a part of the scene that we couldn't shoot because we didn't finish. It had to be on the outside or something like that. So after a 20-day schedule, remainder of the scene was scheduled. So I asked for the dress in continuity. The producers told me that we had rented the dress, it's gone back. And I said, but that scene was still balanced. They said, but this is how it is. We went back to the designer had sold it off. So we had to go find an approximately matching dress. Kaat ke stars bana ke foil ke chipkane pade uske upar. And then our entire shot breakdown was about not going close enough so you can't make out that the dress is not the same one. It's very important to have a plan. And then it's very important to be able to throw away that plan and then start again afresh. The audience doesn't care whether it was a dolly in or a dolly out. You got the steady cam or you didn't get the steady cam. Those things work subconsciously, they're important, but they don't affect the overall experience of an audience. There's always this constant battle as directors. I have a sort of a principle which says the shot belongs to me, the frame belongs to the DOP. For me, story is very crucial. In ad filmmakers who turn into feature filmmakers, it's not a criticism, but the way they approach a scene will be very different from how a writer will approach a scene. You'll see the difference in shot taking. An ad filmmaker's shot taking is so much better. While the DOP is shooting my film, my DOP should also be reacting to the film. If I'm taking a shot which is not working, so they can tell me at that point of time, Saket, the shot is not working, we need to do this.
Also, when the church changes into the banquet hall, then the DOP has to think fast.
At that time, the DOP has to be like a shoulder that you can cry on. Because the DOP then has to tell you that, don't worry, we'll make it work. Usually the DOPs have done far more films than you have. You know, a DOP will come in with a resume of 30 films, whereas you've only done 4 films or 5 films. So you really need their experience to sort of, a lot of times, sail through. The vision of the film will flow from you, but all the decisions will not flow from you. You've got to be able to trust other people to take decisions for you. So for me, it's very important that the actors should be able to improve, change the script. DOP should improve and change the script. These are the key sort of partnerships that work for me.
So who takes a decision for a retake?
Any of the three can. An actor can say, I want a retake. DOPs, see, DOP is very simple. They'll just tell you it's out of focus and there's nothing you can tell them. Even supporting actors, if they want to do better, it doesn't cost you anything. Unless you're on a very tight schedule and it will not get finished, you feel, give it to them. Let them feel that they are a part of the process.
How, in Hindi medium in particular, how you worked with the production designer?
So what he will do is, before he starts art directing, he'll send his assistant to Delhi to start photographing actual locations, and then the art assistant will come back and then the photographs will be laid out between the production designer, the DOP. DOP is also very important. DOP and the production designer will work together on the color palette, and the director then has to be okay with that, unless he has a very clear idea of what color. The production designer and the director will be work very closely on what overall this house is going to look like, what are the properties that are going to be inside, all of that stuff. Final decisions are taken by the director, but the groundwork for those final decisions is completely laid by the production designer. For those who remember the film, is the scene where Shyam Prakash, who is the poor guy, comes to Irfan Khan's house. You know, he's going to meet this anonymous benefactor who's helped his son. So he's going to take a gift. We thought flowers leke jayega, and our production designer, he said, this is a poor person will never take flowers to anybody's house. For him, it's a waste. He'll take something that can be used. He'll take bananas. All of us immediately agreed that he would take bananas, and then that banana became such an important element. If everybody feels that no, our suggestions don't matter, after a while people will stop giving suggestions. Again, from Hindi medium, there are 200 parents waiting outside in a line to get the form. With the 200 parents, there's kachra on outside the school. I start telling the production design people, clean this up here. Why you? Production designer called me back and said, Saket, I have put the kachra there. Why are you removing it? I said, why are you putting kachra? He's saying, there are 200 Indians in a line. There's no way there's no kachra.
The incident that you were talking about, Shadi ke side effects, where there's a church versus the banquet hall, were there any such things for Hindi medium as well, being that, you know, maybe
Sudden surprises.
And we had gone to a school which had a stable of horses, and they teach horse riding and stuff like that. It's a damn interesting thing. We have to incorporate that into the film, and we gave them the requirement that there has to be a stable of horses, and the kids will learn horse riding. And the day of the shoot, 2 horses came. And we had to pretend that the 2 horses represent a stable of horses. It's difficult that the actors didn't want to shoot there, because vanity vans can't go there. One, there's no running water there, so there are no toilets with flushes. But actors don't like to work in bad conditions, and you don't want to screw up the actors' mood so that it starts reflecting in their performance. So we had to take houses and air condition them. I mean, crowd control is always an issue. We tried to convince a producer to create a set. He refused. So, and good he refused, because the authenticity that you get from location you never get on a set.
Now here is Irfan Khan, here is Deepak Dobriyal. Both of them very good actors and they know it.
Yeah.
What happens if they have a conflict?
In our case, actually, they didn't have a conflict. Deepak Dobriyal knows Irfan Khan is a very good actor. Irfan Khan knows Deepak Dobriyal is a very good actor, and they really like each other's acting. And I have a sneaking suspicion that both of them had smoked up. So suddenly the scene is not ending because they're constantly improvising, and they're finding it really funny. And we've written the scene and we're thinking, we know it is funny, but it's not that funny. So there's one scene in the opening where he's sort of displaying wedding dresses and he has to sort of wear two and say, you know, this one looks, because he's wearing a bridal garment. So yeah, traditional, modern. So Zenith had to go and convince him that please sir, it'll look really funny. And then he agreed to do it and he really liked the scene. So you constantly have to keep thinking of ways of just convincing people to do what they'd said yes to do. It was always in the script. It wasn't a shock. Nobody will ever say no to you at the script level because they know they can hold you hostage on the floor. Because what will you do?
Also, are they following the dialogues you gave them or they are improvising on them?
A lot of them are written. The brilliant thing about working with an actor like Irfan Khan is that he can make your written dialogue seem improvised. We try to do enough rehearsals so that the improvisations become part of the script scene. For 6 months, you've been reading the script to everyone possible. You've been reading it to your DOPs. So you can get fatigued with your own script. You can start feeling nothing of this works. So suddenly when somebody does something new, you feel, this is good, let's do this. But it may not necessarily be good.
How do you make a room of people happen who are ready to listen to you for 2 hours and then put money in you?
Persistence is important. Persistence is irritating, but it's also important. Able to reach out to people who can then make you reach out to people. People like us are turning into producers. So when people who worked with us as assistants and we believe that they have potential, we've started pushing their careers ahead. So that has started now. Just graduating from film school does not make you a director. It gives you the skill set to be a director. But director is a state of mind. That my name belongs on a poster. You have to have that narcissism to a certain degree.
What point do I learn that yes, it's bad and it's time to go?
I think as soon as you finish your second or third draft, you should move on. People will say, do you have anything else? You can always say, no, I have this also. To say I will write my next film after I make this film is a little suicidal. Most producers don't want to make the films that you want to make. They want to make the films that they want to make.
Soft skills that you feel are needed on the set.
Projection of leadership is important. You have to give a sense that you know what you're doing, even if at times you don't know what you're doing. I mean, I remember when I was making my first film, a lot of my actors would bitch around my back and say, he doesn't know what he's doing. You can show doubt. You can show uncertainty. But none of that can be seen as weakness. There will be the rare shot that you can take out from my film and make it into a photograph and put it on the wall. I still haven't mastered that. So to understand that these are the weaknesses and constantly be in the process of improving that's an important skill to have.
I think some of the songs in your film are pre-existing songs which you have used in your film.
That's part situation, part marketing. There is now a trend to also use songs that are slightly popular, which may be pop videos, but you put them into a film and make them very popular.
Like the Bhangra Pop in the end.
Yeah, the Bhangra Pop in the film. Suit Karda.
Also the Kabir Cafe song.
Yeah, Kabir Cafe. That was, Kabir Cafe song was, we've already shot the film, we had all the footage in. And then we found that song and then we put it in. That was more a song that was part background score.
What is your process of writing a full feature-length script?
I like characters who really want something in life. In the beginning, the character is saying, only when my child interacts with the elite will they get a good education. At the end of it, it's saying, no, the real world is not filled with elites. The real world is filled with different kinds of people. Only when a child will interact with different kinds of people will they get a good education. So this is character growth or character change. I'll try to at least mark 5 key plot points before I start writing. In fact, there's a Chinese saying, no coincidence, no story. The parents were not expecting to move into a poor neighborhood. They were expecting, we'll use money, we'll use influence, we'll use whatever, we'll use consultants to get our daughter. They never expected that they'll have to move into a poor neighborhood. So that's a coincidence that pushes them into that. I'll try to mark the midpoint, which if you're making mainstream films, actors will say yes or no to your film based on the interval point.
Seriously?
Yes. It's like a Hindi film thing.
The popcorn point.
The popcorn point. Pre-climax, 4th midpoint. where the character will have suffered a major setback. Broad plot points I'll try to know before I start writing the script, and then I'll start working, writing, rewriting till you get the broad idea.
Like Neeta, the only redemption she gets is by just saying that "Chalo ise school mein bhej dete hain," wherein like it kind of like to a certain extent demonizes the urban wife.
In real life, every family that we spoke to, the mother is the one who pushes. The father says, "तुमको जो करना है करो यार," and he gets out of the picture. And the mother will go and do whatever. So it is actually, in reality, it is her story. But because we're casting for a mainstream audience and we want to get the film made, it will be a couple story. It will be written for the guy.
Within the structure of how you're writing it, the end is a monologue. Coming to that from...
It's not an ideal position. I'll be honest with you, we struggled with the ending. Giving a speech is not an ideal ending. We wrote the speech. Then our dialogue, Amitosh Nagpal wrote a speech. Then we got a stand-up comic called Zakir Hussain to write the speech. Then when all of that happened and it still didn't work and we were 3 days away from shooting the speech, then we went, we know Mr. Vishal Bhardwaj very well, we went and begged him and he wrote the speech. And then we shot that speech.
But do you have trials after you've done?
Yeah, we have trials, we do.
So did anything change in Hindi medium after the first set of trials?
The speech.
Speech got lessened.
Speech not only got lessened, it got reshot. But anyway, we got it rewritten. We finally got to a speech that we liked. We shot it. Our producer said, "There's something wrong with it." Now, if the producer is saying there's something wrong with it, and I'm willing to give you money to reshoot it, you should take it seriously. And we also realized what had happened, because Irfan himself had admitted. So when we spoke to him and we said, this is the problem. The ending is not working. When he gave the speech, at that day we had about 400 junior artists in front. So instead of performing for the camera, he performed for them. For 500 people in the audience, it was perfect, that loud acting, the gestures. But on camera, it hadn't worked. And he had to take the performance and make it more internal, rather than doing, because he wasn't supposed to perform for 500 people. He was supposed to make a point to his wife. So that we reshot, that we changed, and we reworked it.
For me, Hindi medium is made by the small actors and the small acts they do. Like the guy who is carrying the TV and says, कि कहाँ रखूँ, और बाद में वो suggestion, he gives the suggestion that honey. Yeah, it's kind of that, and the shop assistant,
Chotu.
The shop assistant, the wife of Shyam Prakash. These guys come in and go out, but they actually light up your script.
So if you remember the opening scene, the girl who is the customer who comes into the shop, who says, if I lose a few kilos, I'll end up looking like Katrina.
Yeah.
When the casting director suggested her, we went and saw her YouTube videos. From her videos, we rewrote the scene, knowing what she could do. Coming back to the casting, which unusual casting. When I wrote Pyar Ke Side Effects, I had Rahul Bose was in mind, but my actress in my head was Preeti Zinta. And my producers insisted I take Malika Sherawat. She really liked the script, she wanted to do it, and I knew the film was getting made now. So I went back and I rewrote her character to who she is. North Indian, not sophisticated. Rahul Bose came into the film, he was losing hair, we started incorporating that into the script. So you write that, In Hindi medium, the scene where the wife is filling the form and Irfan Khan is watching Nagin, that was not written. It was just, the scene was, he's watching TV, she's insisting, stop the TV. And at that moment, we kept feeling, how to make this better, how to make this better. And in my experience, I've always realized that pop culture references always work very well in comedy. But just by adding his performance and just by adding the idea that he was watching Nagin, made it very funny. Casting director sent Tirotma show. She did not want to do the part because the part was not big enough. But the thing when you work with really good actors is that they're greedy. So they really want to make the part more substantial than it appears on paper. And because we could collaborate with her, we started incorporating more and more of her. Actors know acting better than I do. So for me, the process is to choose the best actors when I'm casting. Then I communicate what I want from them. But how they're going to do it, they have to decide and tell me. I don't tell them. Because I've not gone to NSD. I keep making them do it till I feel it's correct. So that's how I communicate with them. If they've done theatre, not done theatre, that is irrelevant to me. You have to make them act to character, not to their school of thought. That auditioning process is very important to understand what they're going to do.
I wanted to ask, how do you decide the names of the characters? Like Raj, Meeta.
So Raj Meeta is very simple. My father's name is Rajesh. My mother's name is Amita. Raj came from Rajesh. And Meeta came from Amita. My actual name is Chaudhary Saket Batra. My father writes Chaudhary, so we write.
They are also very middle class now.
Yeah, they're also very middle class name. Like there's in the present script, I have a scene. We're talking about names. So there's a girl who's going out on a date. So her friend asks her, "Who are you going out on a date with?" And she says, "Manoj." And she says, "How can you go out on a date with a guy whose name is Manoj?" Even his parents didn't take enough effort to give him a better name.
All their names suggest a caste. A caste hierarchy, that most of them are either the minority or lower castes. So it is deliberate naming.
Yeah, the names have to mean something. If you look at kids who go through the poor neighborhoods, most of them are immigrants and usually either lower caste immigrants or minorities.
No, and Deepak Dobriyal himself talks about in the film the point of a name.
In India, a poor person doesn't have a name. If you work in a shop, they call you Chotu. If you have a stomach, they call you Motu. For Indians and rich Indians, poor people only serve purpose. They're not people. That was the idea of the dialogue, which became a very good introduction. It also became funny at that time.
So was it your idea to introduce both of the main characters with the click of the camera?
It was my decision, but it was my decision made under duress. My screenwriter Zeenat and I still have disagreement over. She feels that we should have started straight with the adults. I felt we needed to show the childhood because I really needed to show how much Raj loved Meeta to go to this extent. It takes about 10 minutes for the audience to actually sit down in a theatre. So you don't want to really start with a very important scene. These are things you learn while you're making films. It's not the way you think like in life.
So this happens during the edit, not during the writing?
No, it happens in the writing.
And I was just wondering if you had any plans of straying away from comedy?
So I always tell myself, this time it will be a drama. This time it will be a thriller. And it ends up being a comedy. And there's another reason also, because Zeenat and I were both discussing it. When you watch your film in theatre and it's a comedy, the satisfaction you get from the audience reacting to the material immediately, you don't get in other genres. You feel a direct physical response here. It's like a high that you get to your material that other genres don't give you.
I also think writing comedy is very difficult.
There's a cut where they go in the car. It's a comedy scene where there are two intense scenes and there's a comedy scene. So how did you manage to pull that off? Like putting a comedy scene between two intense scenes, and it worked for me.
See, because the comedy is expected in a comedy film. The audience, in fact, is looking. In Shaadi Ke Side Effects, we had a problem because the first half is comedy and the second half turns serious, and people really didn't like that. And in fact, as soon as you see that the film is getting too serious, you need to interject it with comedy immediately because you have to be true to your genre. You try to not keep the intense scenes for too long. Similarly, for the final speech, we were very deliberately, it was a serious speech, we were deliberately constantly trying to make it funny. Raj and Meeta, when they're poor, they go to Shyam Prakash's house and he starts trying to kill those mosquitoes with his juta. That was not written, he added. In fact, when we saw the cut, we didn't even want to keep it. But the assistant editor, every time that scene came, she used to laugh. And we said, and we wanted to cut length, and she would say, "Mere liye wo scene rakh do, please." So we felt an assistant editor has so much passion towards the scene, you might as well keep it. Maybe it's working, and because we don't find physical humor so funny. Our humor is essentially khandani garib. There's one school of thought that says that when you do comedy, do not try to underline it with a comedy score. But there's another school of thought, with an Indian audience, you have to cue the humor. Now, some people are okay with that, but when the critical reviews came out, we got criticism for that. And then you tell yourself it's better to err on the side of more than less. And they'll tell you, no, if it doesn't work, you remove it during mixing. You never remove it during mixing.
Yeah. She's a really cute kid and she's like
The child.
She's acted. I don't know how difficult was it for you to handle her and how did you go about casting her?
We shortlisted 5 kids and we put the kids through a workshop. And then you get a sense of which are the kids that respond well to instruction, who don't panic. Primarily doing it through chocolate and food and stuff like that. You do this, I'll give you this. That's how you end up negotiating. What we were lucky with this girl was that her mother and she had a great rapport. So we would communicate with the mother and the mother would communicate with the child. But we went with the 6-year-old pretending it was 4-year-old because we felt it's better somebody who takes direction rather than try to go completely for authenticity and break down in the middle of the film. In Shaadi Ke Side Effects, we had a child who was around 3 or 4. She never understood through the making of the film that she was in a film. She kept calling the actors TV Mama, TV Papa. She actually believed that she had 2 lives. One was a set of parents that she had at home and one was a set of parents that she had on the set. So we finished the film and she had no idea and after that she was really sad because TV Papa, TV Mama left him. And this film we couldn't afford that. Because that was very difficult with the children there. So we really wanted somebody who gets the whole, at least has a basic intelligence about the whole thing.
Is there a template of getting into how do you break in? Is there a template?
Everybody who's written a good script has become a director. That is the closest I can tell you. It's not an absolute, but once you've established yourself as a script writer, you can always write another script and then say, listen, that previous one I sold, you know it did well, now this one I want to direct. See, there is another template, but that's a long-term template. You establish yourself as a really good ad filmmaker and somebody will have a script and come to you and say, listen, you execute really well, there's a script. But that's when you become like 7 years, 8 years, 10 years down the line, that happens.
Thank you so much for having
Most welcome.
come here and made the time.